been so long since I've recorded an intro that I don't even know if I still know how to do this. This is part of what we're making. Part of it. This is the rest. But it's so big that it doesn't fit in one frame. Why is this not straight? Anyway, this is not how, and it's not done yet. I have one more piece to attach. It's going to be the star, and it's going to go right here. Of sorts. Okay? This originally was not supposed to look like this. It was supposed to be Mary and Joseph facing each other, and then the baby Jesus was in the middle. And I have their heads tied down, the same with the angels, so it looks like they're praying, right? And then Jesus is here. And so this is probably not going to be the most consistently recorded video in terms of, I didn't record much of each character. Like, I didn't record any of the making of the bodies of Mary and Joseph, because making the bodies minus the accessories is kind of boring, right? It's just the dress and the tunic and the veil and stuff. But we're going to get into it, and so I will be trying to sell this for, I almost said Halloween. No, Christmas. Now I'm thinking, and I'm going to continue to think, this to me, and ideally if I ever make this again, which I probably won't, and I would have made the cover brown. It's blue because I was going to originally put stars on it, like embroidered stars. I'm debating on if I like the simplistic look of it, right, or if I want it to have more detail. I'm kind of thinking I want it to have more detail, and I might see if I can embroider some, because this is going to be in the center. I don't know, by the outro, which obviously is not going to be anywhere near this part, I will have figured it out. Okay, before we begin, there's one more thing I wanted to show you, and it really has nothing to do with the making of this, but I do believe I mentioned it in this video, so I'm going to show you the completed thing. It has to do with the Dodgers, which I'm not a sports person, but I do know that they won the World Series, so I made this in honor of them, or for they're not dead. I made it just to like commemorate. Now, we're not going to talk about the shirt, okay, but I think I redeemed myself on the bat. Now, ideally, I would have put a weight in the bat handle so it would sit up the way it's supposed to. My mom said it looks like a chicken leg. Thanks, Mom. But, this is the Benedict the Bear pattern by Jess Huff. If you see me make a bear that looks like this, the bear minus the accessories, rest assured that it is the Jess Huff Benedict the Bear pattern. That's the only bear pattern that I will make, because I think he's so adorable, and I gave him blue eyes to match his shirt. So, and his little tail. And these are held on with like clear elastic bands, so they are removable. I also had to big brain this baseball so hard. I was trying to put stitches, like sew stitches, the way a baseball should look, and I just could not formulate it in my cranium. So we have this, and I think that he looks very cute, and I want him to have a new home because I don't want him in my room. His sports theme is disrupting my theme of Poppy playtime and stuffed animals and Fazbear and crochet. So he needs a new home, please. So, okay, now we can actually get into the video of making this, which is honestly so cute. I think that if it doesn't find a home, I can't hang it up in my room. I can't have nice things because I have birds, but ideally I would hang it up in my room, and or I would put it on the front door, but I'm afraid that it would get stolen. I'd have to bring it in at night, which would be equally as annoying. Anyway, let's get into it. So, the first order of business is to figure out, well, first I have to obviously put the cover on this, but I have to figure out how to close this, because obviously it's not supposed to be broken, right? I bought it broken. because otherwise I would have had to cut it either way. So it's actually okay that it's broken. So I'm thinking, so what I want to do is I'm gonna try yarn at first just to see if I go through like in and then over and then out, like in, over and out, and tie it at the bottom. If that would be enough to keep it together. If that won't work, then I will try like jewelry wire or floral wire, because I do have access to that as well. So I will let you know what I've done once I figure it out and put the cover on. So I finally got this right, and I accidentally broke it again, but it worked to my advantage because it made it easier to get this blue part on. So now I'm going to start with the characters, and I think I'm going to start with baby Jesus just because he's the smallest and therefore the easiest to make, or I guess the quickest to make. But I don't have anything out yet, so I guess I probably should have done that first. I just realized that I did it backwards, and I was supposed to start with white and change to the skin color. So now I have to start over, but thank goodness I noticed it only a few minutes in. It's not the end of the world. So the real question is, for the halo, do I want to do bright, obnoxious yellow? This is more of an orange. This is actually the orange that I was going to use for my colorwork bear and then changed my mind. So why would I even use this if it's orange? Hold on. This, okay, you know what? This is also more of an orange. I mean, it's yellow, but it's orange compared to this one. I think I'm gonna do this one. I want it to actually look yellow. The next step of making the basket is to do an alternate series of front post and back post half double crochet, which is what this stitch is. Except for I don't remember how to do that. It's been a long time since, it's literally been since about this time last year that I've made the Nativity set that I sold last year at the craft fair. So I'm gonna have to, because I know like back post is going behind it, right? Like this. That's a double crochet. Do I know what I'm doing? Is this my first day crocheting on Earth? No. You would think. Yeah, okay, so the back post is not the issue. The front post is, because what does that mean? I don't know. Apparently, what I was doing was front post, and the back post is the one I don't know, but now do. I think. So, the whole point of doing this is to give the basket texture. Okay, it said to do, basically, instead of going around it from the front, go from the back, and go around. And then, I don't know how you work, how do you reconcile having, hold on. We're learning together, guys. Now, how do I get... That can't be right. There's no way. And then... This is optional, of course. I could just do 3 rounds of half double crochet and call it good, but that would be boring. And if I'm going to try to sell this, which I am, I'm not going to let it look janky. It's going to look good. The last, well, I don't usually do the last step on this item. The next round is just single crochet, but I think that I like the texture of this, if that's what it can be called, like the wavy aspect. And if I do the single crochet around, it's gonna straighten it out, and then it just won't look, you know, it's meant to look wavy like a basket, like it's been hand woven. So I think I'm just gonna do a slip stitch. And call it good, and we're gonna hide the tails as soon as I find my scissors. And now the basket is done. Well, obviously I still have to hide this and stuff, and I still have to make the blanket that goes inside, but now when I made this the first time, I didn't give them faces because I liked the way it looked. But I think this time I might give them faces, because they are technically supposed to have faces. But I'm only making Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, and maybe the angel. I don't know. We can decide if they get faces at the end. I think for assembly, because obviously I'm gonna glue everything together, I don't think I did for the first one that I made, but I'm gonna use this foam block so I can pin it after I glue this in. And I think first I'm gonna glue this in and let it dry, and then I'll put the baby Jesus in, because I want to make sure it actually dries and adheres. So, since I have started using this, I've basically stopped sewing on projects unless it's a piece that needs it. Because as long as you don't wash what you're making, because why would you really need to wash a plushie? At least the things that I make, I don't make them for children. The things that I make, I mostly sell to adults for display. And so they don't get dirty and they don't need to be washed. If you wash it, obviously the glue would come off. But for the most part, this is very reliable for holding crochet stuff together. So, okay. It decided to play you the song of its people, apparently. Oh, I should have got out my paintbrush before I did this. Although, at this point, because the glue has dried on the bristles, it's basically a spatula at this point. Which I think I might invest in one of the, like, silicone makeup spatulas that they use to get all the product out of the bottle. Because this broke already. The neck is holding on for dear life. It's okay. Aren't we all holding on for dear life? I think so. That's alright. So, now, might as well just wipe the extra on here, because it's going to go in there anyway. And a very... Oh, I probably should have got the pins out before I started, huh? It's not going to pin itself down. I don't know what the birds are doing. They keep going in and out of their cage. They're eating, but like they'll eat and then they'll pause and come out and then they'll go back in and start eating again. Like, the food's not gonna disappear, you guys. No one's gonna take it from you. You're the only two birds in the room. Well, it didn't used to be the case. I used to have 7 birds. 2, like the main 2 I had, the mom and the dad, right? And all the other birds were their babies. And so I had 7 birds. One time I was at Walmart buying bird food. And this little girl, bless her heart, asked me, "You have birds?" And I wanted to so badly be like, "No. I'm buying this bird food for a hamster." Yes, I have birds, but I didn't because she was small, you know, and curious. And so I told her, "You know, I actually have 7 birds." And I showed her some pictures and she's like, "Oh, they're so cute." So, yeah. Children are... Ow. I just stabbed that right under my fingernail. That's what I get from wanting to be a brat to a kid. Anyway, this shouldn't take too long to dry. The only reason if I had really thought it out, I would have used magnets maybe. But I don't know how I would have put them in the foam, and I don't honestly know where I would have got magnets strong enough for that. And I was not trying to go to the Amazon. If I can't find it at Hobby Lobby, I don't need it for my craft. That's pretty much where I do all my craft shopping. Because that's one of the only craft stores we have here. We used to have Joann's, R.I.P. Joann's. Although I didn't really like Joann's because it was too far, and they didn't usually have what I needed because it's not a yarn store. You know, it's Joann's fabric for a reason. And that's okay. Sometimes I would go there when I needed big safety eyes, and they would have them, which surprised. I'm just making up new words, which surprised me the first time because I just wasn't expecting to find that kind of stuff there. And then they closed. So now we have Michael's, which I heard something about Michael's has acquired the right to sell or whatnot the brand of yarn that Joann's used to sell. So I don't know what all that's about. Honestly, I might sew him in here just because of the shape of everything might make gluing a little difficult. But oh, I guess I should decide if I'm gonna. No, they're not getting faces. If I change my mind at the end, then I'll just make it work. So, baby Jesus is almost done. I have finally finished. Well, they've been done for a few days now, but then I got lazy on recording. This is obviously going to be Mary and Joseph. And I wanted to make the bodies before I came back to this video, particularly because nobody wanted to watch me make these. Making these was kind of boring, okay? I think, though, I'm not going to leave their arms all out like that. I think for this particular project, because I'm going to have them kind of in a tight space, that I'm going to attach the hands to the body like this somehow, so that they look like they're praying, because Jesus is going to be in between both of them. So, now we're going to move on to the accessories, and I think I want to make the angel, which is basically the same body as this, except for just wearing white. I'll do that at the end. I want to get Mary and Joseph done first. So we're going to start with that. Also, he looks bigger than she does. Like, I know he's taller by like a few, you can't tell, but I can, by a few rounds, because I added an extra one in for him just to make him a bit taller, so it did work out. So they're done. They're gonna go over here, and I'll give you a sneak peek into what I'm making. I don't know if I'm gonna make a video out of this or not. I probably won't, because I didn't intend for it to be a video. Why are the legs different sizes? I think I stuffed one a little more firmly than the other. That could be why. No, they're the same. Okay. This is gonna be part of the other one. It is in celebration of the Dodgers winning the World Series. This is gonna have something to do with Dodgers. So I may as well just make a video out of it. I only have a few pieces left, and I could just film that. Thinking about it. So I don't know if I showed or not, or told or not, but I'm modeling Mary after this picture of a statue that is outside of one of the Catholic churches here where I live. And I think it got graffitied because they painted the whole thing white, which I don't like. I like the color that it used to have. So for the veil, I'm going to be using this color, and it's jade. And I always say it looks different in person than it does on screen, but then when I'm editing and when I watch it back, the final video, it always color corrects. So I'm just gonna not, it is what it is. But in case it doesn't color correct, it's not as blue as it looks on screen, it's more of a green color. So this is gonna be the veil. And then I can't remember if Joseph has a headpiece. I think he just has like a cape thing going on. I have the pattern right here written down. Yeah, Mary. See, Mary has a veil. And then Joseph, yeah, he has a tunic. And I always write down who the pattern is by, so I can credit the person that wrote it. This is not my pattern, and I will never take credit for a pattern that's not mine. So I don't write these down to steal them. I write these down so I can look at this and still watch YouTube while I crochet. So I don't have to just look at the YouTube pattern video. I write these down so I can always have them, like a hard copy. So we're going to be doing this now. And I keep all my patterns, all my written patterns, in this giant binder. Well, it's not giant, but it's full of patterns that are written down. So I can keep close track of them. So I have all kinds of patterns in here. Some of the patterns in here are ones that I've made myself. Most of them are not though. So let's get started with the accessories. I didn't know that the way that this veil begins is but the chain of 70. I guess I'll leave kind of a long tail just in case I have to sew anything. 70. That's a lot. Oh, I think it's because it gets folded in half in the back. Okay, never mind. Okay.
A few minutes later.
Okay, almost done with the first row, and I want to show you guys a tip, a trick, a zoom in so we can see it. That's too much. Hold on, calm down. A 2.0 is a good zoom. When you're crocheting a chain, and so this is obviously my chain, this is my first row, and you have a tail that you don't want to weave in, I'm going to show you guys a really helpful trick, okay? If you don't crochet, this is going to mean absolutely nothing. That's okay. You can watch too. Stay tuned, okay? So, also, if you work not into the chains, but the back side, you get a very nice finish on the bottom. And the top. Anyway, that's not the trick. As you approach the end of your chain here, and these last few ones are always the trickiest to get into for me, for some reason. Okay, now, on the last one, you're gonna wanna yarn over, right? Go through your appropriate loop, whichever one you're working in. And then, you're gonna take your tail, this is my tail, right? Hold on, yeah, okay. This is my tail, right? The short part. You're gonna take it and you're gonna put it over your hook, under your working yarn, and pull it to the back, and then pull through. Hold on to this little tiny knot you made when you made your slip stitch, and finish your last stitch like that. Now, your tail is in the back. Then, when you go to work the next one, you can just move it up here like this. And work into your first stitch. And you can work in your tail as you go. And you don't have to worry about weaving it in later. Just work it in. Obviously this works better if you're working with only one color, like I am. Because if I was working with like white, or literally any other color, you'd be able to see the tail through the stitches. So if you need to hide a tail and you don't want to do it, I know a lot of people are honestly kind of, and I've ranted about this before, are quite frankly kind of lazy crocheters, and they want to do the least amount of work possible. So if you want a quick way to working your tail without having to come back and weave it in later, there you go. Anyway, steps 2 through 7 of this veil are to do, it's supposed to be half a double crochet in back loops only, but I am not about that, so I'm just doing it in both loops, because I just think having not all those extra lines, like half double crochet already leaves an extra ridge here of the loops you didn't work into, so I think it's, in my opinion, it's going to look nicer like this. And then you can work in your tail however long you want to, and then just cut the rest off. If you want to be extra secure, you work it all the way in, and it works out. I just want to clarify what I said earlier, that when I said that I had ranted before about people being lazy crocheters, some of them are. I did not mean getting a tip or trick that makes things more convenient and therefore easier. I mean like people who want all no-sew patterns because they're too lazy to sew on arms, legs, and ears, and a tail, or like whatever piece you're making. They don't want to sew it together. Now, I already can hear the comments coming. What about people who are this and that? I'm not talking about people who are elderly and have arthritis. I'm not talking about pepple. Oh, I'm not talking about pepple because that's not a real word. I'm not talking about people who are disabled and need accommodations. I'm talking about people who are lazy, okay? Who either don't want to go buy, like they have the means to and don't want to go buy the product. Like these darning needles, you can get a pack of 3 of these at Walmart for like $3, $5, maybe at the most. So I'm talking about people who are literally just too lazy to do the work. Okay, not anybody who's disabled and needs accommodations. If you don't want to do the craft to the fullest extent, then why are you doing it? You know? I'm talking about people who want, like I said, fully no-sew, which Jess Huff, I make a lot of her products are called Huffies, her plushies. I make a lot of hers because her patterns are very easy to follow and I think they're really cute. But she has adapted a lot of them, and I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go in depth to it. She has adapted a lot of them to make them no-sew, where you work the ears right into the head. You work the legs and the arms right into the body and the tail as well. I don't like the way that looks, so I don't do it. I still sew on everything separately. The only thing I have started doing, just because it's more convenient, is making the head and the muzzle one piece. But I do still have the first version of the pattern where the muzzle and the head were 2 separate pieces. So I can do either or. Depending on who I'm making it for, how much detail I want to put into it. Sometimes I'll do it where the head and the muzzle are 2 different pieces, or sometimes I'll do it when they're one conjoined piece. But if you're just too lazy to do the work it takes to do the craft, then pick a different hobby. Right? I get maybe there are like some financial burdens. That I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are too lazy to do the work. Anyway, let's not get into that. I have 2 more rows of this, and then we're going to have to make some decreases in the middle so that it'll start to curve so we can close it. Because the way this is obviously not wide enough is you decrease here at the back and it pulls it together, so when you sew it down the back it creates like a hood. So I'm almost done with this. Now I have finally arrived at the point where I make the decreases. So we're going to be making 4 half double crochet decreases in the middle. So the easiest way to do that is to fold it in half. Right? Let's see, I'm going to be crocheting this way. Hold on. So we're going to count our middle 8 stitches. Hold on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I get a stitch marker. So in the middle, kind of hard to count in the middle when there's a stitch in the middle, but anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4 right here is where we're going to start making decreases. And now I don't have to think about it, I just do. No think, just do. So now that the veil is done, okay, the side that you slip stitch it closed on to make the hood part, it's supposed to be on the inside, but I kind of like the way it looks on the outside. Right? I like this better. So now I'm going to add the gold detail. I hate this yarn. Okay, just putting that out there. I hate this yarn. But this is the only gold yarn I can ever find at Hobby Lobby. so I have to use it again. And I'm just gonna add gold detail to the edge. And this yarn is kind of thin, so I don't know how I'm gonna make it look as thick as I want it to. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. Hopefully. Or, you know, maybe I just don't want it to be thick and it can just be a subtle detail. Alright, hold on. I think actually, I got distracted and just sat for like 30 minutes on my phone putting memes on my animal pet page that I have. But I think since I've learned how to do like neat color change, that's what we're gonna do. So that requires working in the back loops only, doing slip stitches. Hold on. I think if I make as many pieces as I want to for the nativity thing, it's gonna end up being a lot more work than I think it or thought it was gonna be. So I might not be recording as much as I wanted to, but I do want to get a little bit of each character that I'm making. So obviously this is Mary and Joseph. I did end up adding this, and I'll tell you why. Can I get it in frame? Because I was originally gonna glue her arms down a little further than where they are, but then they ended up not wanting to stay, and so I tried to remove the glue with a clean Q-tip and some water, and I didn't think it was gonna work, and it didn't, because there's still some here on the sleeve. It's not as like crunchy as it would be, but you can definitely tell that there's a difference from the rest of it. And so I just added this around where I thought the glue residue would be, which would be right here under the arm. And technically she is supposed to be wearing a belt, like a gold belt that would go around her dress, but I didn't feel like making it. I am gonna make it for Joseph though, just because he's wearing his tunic that I almost forgot to put on and had to shove it under the arms after I tied him to the body. I don't think I was paying attention last night when I was doing this. Anyway, taking out the pins is my favorite part of any. Yeah, that didn't work either. I didn't think it would. I'll have to tie that. Her hands don't want to stay side by side like this. They keep wanting to shift sideways. So, I think it'll be alright. Either way. So, she still needs a face, of course, but otherwise, aside from putting on the veil, which I am going to glue to her head so it doesn't get lost, she is technically done. Dude, making these curls is one of the funnest parts of this project. After you crochet the hair, which is a nightmare, because making hair for any character is just a nightmare. Well, maybe not. Oh, it worked for his hands to glue them together. Nice. Okay. Sometimes if you can twist them, this is in here, this is the one that didn't want to hold. Sometimes if you can twist them out of the cast that the glue makes on the inside of the head, they'll come out. But sometimes you end up just twisting the ball off, which that usually happens more than the other. Anyway, after this, well, for this is just going to be building up the height of the head. But I wanted to say, I think because, you know, obviously the angel wears white, and then the wings are going to be white. Oh, that's going to be really hard to get it in there. I did the same thing with Joseph. I forgot to put on the tunic until the last second, and I had to force it under his arms. The angel does not wear a tunic, but I think that I'm going to make him one out of the same gold yarn that I used to put the trim on the veil for Mary, just to break up some of the white. If I had... oh, I might have some. I think I used it all, though. Some white yarn with like a tinsel in it, I would use that instead, but I don't. And so I want to put something that would break up the white. So I'm going to make a gold tunic, but I'll do it after I make the head, and probably after I do the hair and stuff. So when I come back with him, he should have hair, but the tunic probably won't be done yet. Okay, now, because I, like an absolute genius, don't look at that. That's nothing important. Chose yellow for the hair, like an idiot. forgetting that the angel also has a halo, which is optional, but I'm gonna make it just because I want to. But I don't. Well, I was gonna say I don't know if there's enough room right here to make it sit, you know, like straight, perpendicular. But I'll make it work. Sorry, I had to pause that to sneeze because my body only sneezes at literally the most inconvenient times. Where is my baby Jesus? Right here. I think I'm just going to do the same yellow for the halo, which would be this one. But this halo has, like, I'd have to show you. So once you get it to, like, the shape, right, you're supposed to do a slip stitch on the front of the piece to give it a second detail. So not only do I have to pick one yellow color, I have to pick two. And I think maybe this one that's kind of more muted. Or I could honestly just do gold again, but I think that would look kind of weird. You know, gold on yellow. Maybe I'll do this one. This is the same one I did for his hair. Yeah, so this is going to be the halo. This is going to be the slip stitch detail. I can show you now that I have this. This is obviously the front of the halo, right? It's going to go like this, of sorts. Except for this way, because I want the nice part to be in the front, right? Well, hold on, I have to... Oh, I figured out one. Honestly, I might just put it like this. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Anyway, what I was talking about was, I didn't change over my yarns before I started doing this. You would think I had never crocheted a day in my life and recorded it at the same time. So, this is my other color, right? The one I used for his hair. Move. There is a name for this technique, I just don't know what it is, and I also don't care to know what it is, so let's just do it. I think... Oh. Well, okay, we'll make it work. So, you're basically doing slip stitches on top of the piece instead of working like on the edge like most crochet is. You're doing it on the top. A lot of people use whatever this technique is. Okay, I am having... Pause. Put a pin in that. The eczema is killing my hands. My skin, just not so much on this hand, but this one itches so bad all the time. Anyway, it doesn't itch right now, so thank God. You just do exactly what I said. There's just in frame would be great. You would love to see, right? And then, and this is tricky because I'm doing it right where I ended this round. Round. So basically, just over or between or on every stitch, and you're working into the spaces between the rounds. And a lot of people use this technique to put like lettering on blankets and stuff, or whatever you're making that you would prefer to have letters on it. But I use it very sparingly because sometimes it's very hard to get it to look neat when it's done like this, because you can only work in the spaces of where the stitches are, which don't always align the way you need them to. So if I was going to put letters on something, I would honestly prefer to maybe like buy a patch or a decal of sorts, or even embroider it or needle felt it if what I'm making allows that or permits it. So this is a technique that I don't use very often. Is that like weird? I think it looks alright. I mean, I could have done it in the same yellow, but then you wouldn't have been able to see it, so what would have been the point of that? when I show the final product, and if you're wondering why Mary does not have a halo, I'll tell you, in short, it's because I'm not Catholic. Okay, I do not believe Mary is divine. I don't believe I don't believe in the virgin birth. For Mary. I do obviously for Jesus, but for Mary, no. There are some people who think that Mary was immaculately conceived, and that just isn't true, nor is it possible, because that would mean that Mary's mother would have had to have been sinless, and Mary's grandma would have been sinless to give birth to her sinless mother to give birth to Mary, and you just would have to trace it all the way back to a sinless woman, and you know that's not possible because the first woman sinned, and that was Eve. So I do not believe in the Immaculate Conception of Mary, whatever it's called. And don't even get me started on praying to her as an intercessor, because this video will be 17 hours long. But in short, I will say, for you to believe that somebody can hear your prayers, let alone answer them, or intercede on your behalf, or whatever you want to call it, means they have to have divine power. Right? Just because people are alive in heaven, right? The Bible says that God is the God of the living, not the dead, does not mean they can hear you. Right? Right. Okay, just kidding. I said not to get me started, and then I got myself started. The reason, the Bible literally says that the only mediator between man and God is Christ Jesus. That is an actual Bible verse. I will put a picture of it here. So that's why they being Catholics always say, well, then you shouldn't ask your friends to pray for you. No, that's different. I'm not asked, like, let's say my mom. I ask my mom to pray for me all the time, especially when I'm dealing with mental health. I don't ask my mom to pray for me because I believe my mom has divine power, right? I ask my mom to pray for me because she goes straight to Jesus, who the Bible says mediates. You know what median means, right? We learned that in math class in like the 5th grade. It means in the middle. So Jesus is in between God and man. And so I asked my mom to pray for me because she goes to Jesus. Not because she goes to Mary, who then goes to Peter, who goes to Paul, who goes to Timothy, who goes to Silas, who then finally makes it to Jesus, and then Jesus goes to the Father. No. The Bible, and if Catholics read the Bible and abided by it, they would know this. The Bible is very explicitly clear that we should be praying to God the Father through the enablement of Jesus the Son by the empowerment of the Holy Spirit. There's nobody else. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he didn't say, I am my mother. Right? That's why okay, guys, we're going to be here. Skip ahead if you don't want to listen to me talk about the Bible. That's why when Jesus was on the cross and he was looking at Mary, right, from the cross, and she was standing next to John, I believe, and he said, woman, behold your son. Because in that moment, Jesus was making the distinction between, yes, I am your son, but in this moment on the cross, I'm your God, first and foremost. Jesus, right, he wasn't calling her woman to be disrespectful, right? He was calling her woman because he was making the distinction that right now, in this moment in time, I have a bigger role and a bigger purpose to fulfill than being your son. Right now, I'm your God, and I'm dying to save you, right? That's what Jesus was implying. And it's the same, or at least I believe it's the same, when he was talking to her when she wanted him to turn water into wine. And he said, woman, and then whatever he goes on to say, like, it's not my time yet. Because she was wanting him to perform a miracle which required him to tap into deity right? Because Jesus is God. My angel. Oh, he needs his wings. Well, okay. Anyway, well, he's a little top heavy. Same. It's okay. That would have required Jesus to tap into deity, right? But it wasn't time yet. That's what Jesus goes on to say. It's not my time. It's not my time for my works to glorify the Father. So that's why Jesus calls her mother. He's not, or mother, sorry. That's why he calls her woman. Because in those two distinct moments, he was separating himself from her as, yes, I am your son, but right now I'm also your God, first and foremost. So that is why. Now, that is done. This, I'm probably going to use the same white once I find where it went. I think I might have put it away. That's amazing. To make the wings, there is a wing pattern. Well, there's one that came with the Greta Wings pattern that I am using. And I think, just to be safe, I think I am going to use that pattern. Is this white? Yes, okay. Everything looks different under my desk light because my desk light has a lamp on it, but the color on it, this desk is so old that the cover on the light is yellowed. Plus I have the flash on my phone, so that doesn't help either. But anyway, I'll make the wings. I'll be right back. So this right here is the pattern for the wings. I actually don't think I'm going to use this pattern just because I found one on YouTube that I like better that I will put in the description. So if you guys want to use it, you can. And after the angel, I don't have anything left to make but the star, or a star, which I'll probably have to find a pattern for because I don't know how else I would make that happen. Although I did want to go to Hobby Lobby, because I practically live there, and see if they have, not like, I guess it would have to be foam, like a foam star pack, like foam stickers, but I feel like that would look so janky. Maybe, I don't even know what else they would be made out of then, because I think wood, like wooden stars, would just look really weird. And so, because on the outside of the wreath itself, it's very plain, right? It's just blue. And I thought, which I might end up just sewing them on, that somehow I would figure out a way to sew stars on, in frame would be great. To sew stars on here so that this has more character to it. But I'll have to probably do that at the end. Also, I'm really concerned that these are just not going to fit in here, or they're just not going to stay. I might be right. They came out a lot bigger than I thought they would. Which obviously you can't see what I'm looking at. This might not work out. This might not be a good idea, guys. I might, if this doesn't work out, I might have to ditch the wreath altogether. Because these are kind of, here, I'll show you upside down, maybe. Zoom out so you can see. Kind of. These are already pretty big, and if I put them, maybe put them face this way. Maybe I'll put them, because they're not going to be flat like I wanted them to. I know it's upside down, because if I showed it on this side, you wouldn't be able to see. I will figure it out. I could always put them on the outside like this, and put Jesus in the middle, but that would just look stupid. I want them to be together. So, oh, I did not mean to do that. I am so sorry. I don't think you want to get that close to Joseph's face. I will figure it out. Had they come out the size of the angel, because the angel's much smaller than, hold on. The angel is much, intentionally so, smaller than they are. Right here's the side by side. I'll make it work. Somehow, hopefully. actually had to look up a pattern for the star because I just could not big brain it out. I was on the right track, but this was easier. Conveniently by the same person that also made the nativity scene characters. So, because this looks kind of janky, obviously I want it to be flat. I'm gonna do, I don't know if there's a name for it, but it's basically where you soak this, or whatever you're making, in a 1-to-1 mixture of water. And if you had Mod Podge, that would probably work, but I don't, so I'm gonna just use my trusty old Elmer's glue all in a bowl, or, you know, whatever. And then you pin it. I would probably pin mine to this. This is just a piece of, like, packing foam. Is it big enough to fit on here? Yeah. Okay. Or is it small enough to fit on here? Yes. So I'm gonna do that. At the end, we'll put everything that's left together, and then it'll be done. Now, I don't know how I'm gonna show this. I have the star here. Oh, first of all, I want to say, there is nothing wrong with my finger. Okay, I do not have a boo-boo. I have eczema really badly on my hands, like I was saying before. My skin right here on my finger is so dry that it's literally split open in 3 places. Okay, I'm not gonna cross-contaminate. There's no blood. Okay, I'm not gonna cross-contaminate anything. Okay, I have a bag balm, which is basically like a moisturizer on my dry skin, trying to soften it so it'll heal. Okay? Okay, now. I'm sorry, I had to reach the thing. I moved it away. There's not much of a space here in reality, and I'm not gonna work on it like this. I'm just gonna show you what it will look like. I'm gonna try to hang it. I'm so sorry. 0.5 is what I wanted. I'm gonna try to hang it relatively high to the top, but I want it to be centered. It probably won't be by the time that I'm done, but I'm aiming for centered, okay? So when I see you again, which will be after this clip, which will be the outro, it'll be here. I'm still having second thoughts about sewing stars on the outside. I don't think I'm going to, just because I kind of want this project to be done already. I have other things that I want to get to before Christmas gets here that still have to be made. So let's get to it then. Also, if you look really closely to the star, you can see these are not specks. Those are where the pins were holding it down. And my glue water mixture worked very well. This has, well, it has give to it, right? Like if I needed to bend, I could, but it's gonna stay like this, which is I wanted it to, so it worked out. Okay, welcome to the outro. It's done. This is so cute. I honestly might keep this for myself. Obviously, it looks better when the star is not jingling everywhere, but I think this came out really cute. I can't show you in one frame because it's so big, so I guess I'll show you up close. Hopefully I don't bump the microphone. Hold on, we're gonna back up to see the top. And I didn't give them faces. There's just, I mean, obviously I didn't give them faces. There's just something that I like more about the faceless look of these specific characters. And I can't quite put my finger on what it is. But did I get it centered? That's what we were talking about earlier. Let's see if I hold it still. I think I did. I think so. Good, that's all I wanted out of it. For the end, I wanted it to be centered, and it is. So, I don't quite know. I haven't been selling a lot of stuff lately, and so I'm not gonna get my hopes up to sell this, even though I think it's adorable, and I think that it would sell well to a home that would really love it. I knew this year I wanted to make something nativity, but I didn't want to make the whole set like I did last year with the 3 wise men and all the animals, and I was like, I'm not in the mood for that this year. Money's tight and I have to get other gifts out, so this video needs to get done, or the item needs to get done so the video can come out. I have 2 more gifts to make, and what's today? What's today's date? Today is November 13th. Yeah, 13th. And so I still have the rest of November and practically all of December to get the gifts out. So I have time. It doesn't take me that long to crochet. Now, one of the gifts is for my dad, and he watches my videos. Hi, Dad. And so I can't post that video till after I give it to him, because then he's gonna see it, and then it won't be a surprise. Oh, you see my bird? Right there? Squirrel. I know. But the other gift is for my friend, whose name I will not say. She does not watch my YouTube videos that I know of. So I'm gonna post her gift making process for her. Okay, hold on. The other day, I was in Hobby Lobby because I practically live there. Also, I want to say, if I move this and my birds dive bomb my head, it's because they think rattling plastic means food. Like a dog. Literally like a dog. So I was in Hobby Lobby and I was walking, to where the yarn is, because that's my aisle. And I saw this. My friend really likes coffee. And so I saw this. Stay over there. I saw this. And it's like a cappuccino set. This cup is massive. I have never seen a coffee cup. This is like a soup cup. I've never seen a coffee cup that big. And, oh, I guess I should take the price tag off of that. Well, maybe not. I might have to... I don't want to take it out of the wrapper, though. I'll figure it out. I'll get it off some. Is this... My brain doesn't work. This was only $8, so I think this is a steal. That's a good price. I'm really paying for the mug. So $8 for the mug that she can use over and over versus, I almost just threw it in the floor. Maybe I set it down so I don't throw it in the floor. So I had to stand in front of the display at Hobby Lobby and message her until she answered, because she was at work, and I had to ask her, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like the Grinch? And she was like, the animated one, the live action one, or the concept? And I was like, the animated one is good, thank you. And she said 10, and I was like, okay, deal. That's her gift. She's getting that, and the scarf. Where is it? It's over there somewhere. The green, the neck scarf thing that I knitted is also for her. So her birthday is also in December, and so I think for her birthday she's gonna get the bandana is somewhere over there and all that stuff over there. And I think for Christmas she's gonna get the Grinch. I'm gonna make her a Grinch, a plushie. I wrote down the pattern last night, and she's gonna get the cappuccino set thing, since they're similarly themed. Similarly, it's the same character. I think I've done enough talking. I'm gonna say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked the way this turned out as much as I do. This is the reason for the season, right? Not Santa. One of my favorite pictures, I'll have to try to find it and put it in right here, is the picture of Santa kneeling before the manger. I love that. And I love Jesus, and he loves me, and more importantly, he loves you. So I will see you next time, soon, sometime between now and Christmas. I will see you again.